You had England's number 6 on your gloves.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then eventually they started singing England's number 6. And it's all right, well, I'm going to run with this.
How did you find Fabio Capello? Because you...
I remember being told that I was too fat, which he told everyone.
I was going to say it weren't just you.
No.
When it comes off your hand, were you fully confident you'd done enough to stop the ball going in the back of the net?
I thought, I'm dead. 20 minutes to go before the game. Right, job's done. Warm-up's done. I'm prepped. I'm ready. Walked in to the dressing room. Manager's asleep.
Oh, what? He's asleep.
The Europa League, we won it. And I went in to see the secretary. And there's no bonus schedule for the Europa League. Well, it's not European Cup.
No. Greenie, welcome to the Fozcast. Are you aware that once upon a time you ruined my holiday to Dubai? I was a day into my trip when I got a phone call from Michelle at England to say, do you want to come home and be part of the England squad? And it was all because of you pulling your groin off the bone in an England B game. Do you remember that?
I do remember it. I don't remember it at the time because I was unconscious on the floor. I didn't do that one by choice. I thought you were going to say the time that I broke the record for the fastest ever sending off for England, and you have to get called back for that one as well.
You have disrupted a few of the things that I've been having a nice time. I can only
apologise.
That was the first time I got into the England squad, and I was chilling in Dubai. Summer season had just finished. It was actually 40 degrees, and in fairness, it was too hot. Too hot. And
no sympathy here.
No sympathy here. But yeah, Michelle rung, and I remember watching that video of you do it, and I thought, oh, you poor bugger, because you're unconscious, aren't you?
Yeah, I'd actually done it. So I think there was a shot, or I can't remember what it was, a free kick, and I stepped across, and as I'm stepping across, like at the Medeski Stadium at Reading, the game was at Reading, and the pitch was bone hard, and your studs don't get in the ground, and it just slipped, and my whole leg went in the other direction, and I've just about shoveled the ball round as I'm feeling this. It was all 3 groin muscles in there, just go twang, 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 and the corner came in from sort of partially making a save, and I think Sol Campbell is in front of me, and I just seeing it, and Sol's just disappearing as the corner's coming in, and these players are just it, and the ball's gone off, and I've wandered to get the ball, put it down, and I've started to go, and it hit the deck, and that was, I can't remember how much blood I lost internally, but I went from bruising from my knee all the way up to just underneath my left armpit, all the way across my body was just black.
No way.
Yeah.
And you were unconscious?
It was the most pain. I mean, out of all the injuries I had and stuff like that, like one moment you just see the world just disappearing. And they found my groin about 2-3 inches away.
Pull down.
2 inches away from my knee. Yeah. And the physio was at Norwich at the time, and the physio came up when I was getting the operation, or having a conversation about having an operation, and he walked in and he saw it and he went, I got to leave the room. And went off and was sick and came back in again. It was that bad. So, yeah, apologies, but I didn't mean it.
I'll let you off, mate. I really will.
Wow.
We always start the podcast with a bit of an icebreaker question where...
Well, that wasn't it.
No, that was not it. That was just me.
That was just an accusation.
Yeah, getting my grievance out there, all right? We want to know 3 players that you've played with in your career that if it was to kick off in a bar fight, who would you have to back your corner, to fight your corner for you?
First one that springs to mind, Richard Dunn.
It's a good one. We've never had Dunny, to be fair. That's a good one.
He'd be good, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
be very good.
You just stand there.
Yeah.
Was it the red wall, was he? Yeah. I just stand behind Dunny. Spent a few years doing that at QPR. I loved it. You just head it, kick it, Dunny.
Yeah. He built like a breeze block, isn't he?
It's just a mad mountain, and it's just hilarious to play behind as well. Where we played? Ellen Road, and we're playing, and this game's like on the verge of promotion or whatever, and he turned to us, the game's going on, and I think we had a corner. He went, Greenie. I was like, what? He went, I'm so bored. Who else would I have? I'd definitely have. And alongside him, and I spent a lot of time alongside him, was Nedham. He'd managed to absolutely monster people, destroy people physically and mentally as well. Just absolutely belittle someone intellectually at the same time as beating them up. So
it's a good skill set, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fit, like brains to back up the brawn as well.
I don't have to beat you up, but I can. Yeah, and I can
do both.
destroy. I just can come at you. Yeah, and then third, I'll have to have a think. I'll go for the hat-trick of QPR players and say Charlie Austin, because he just loved to fight.
I've never heard this about Charlie Austin.
Yeah.
I thought Charlie Austin's like a nice, you know what I mean, chirpy chappy.
Oh no, get drinking him. He's like, yeah. He'll appreciate me saying that. He'll understand this. He walked in the QPR change room and he turned to us, said, "Oh, nice to meet you. How you doing?" And I think he'd been arrested for a fight in a bar somewhere before he'd made it up higher. I think this is public knowledge. And I just named the bar that he was in. Nice to meet you. And I think it was Bushwhackers or something like that. I don't know. Bushwhackers bar or something like that. And he just looked at me and went, "Oh, no." So I'll just carry it on. What's that, 15 years later? Yeah.
Are Bushwhackers still a thing? Because Bushwhackers, when I was a kid, was you'd have a fight.
We would go. Do you remember we used to go to Bushwhackers in Worcester?
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have a fight in Bushwhackers.
That might
that was definitely
Bushwhackers was a bar.
I had the two guys that walked in the wrestling. Like that. They were the Bushwhackers.
Whenever I think of Charlie, I always think of that. I mean, he's had a brilliant career.
I know what you're going to say.
And yet,
it's the Southampton game goal thing, isn't it?
I've done Foster.
Yeah, I've sat Foster. And he's going off on one. He's fuming, isn't he? Because it got disallowed.
That's him. That's him in the public persona form. But then you get him in a bar with a drink. Then he's like that.
Supercharged.
Yeah. What was he? We went out on a do, and he turned to us. He's had a drink, and he's gone, "You lot. Oh, we were riding high in the Champions. You lot, you'd be nowhere without me. So I've scored all these goals." And Sean Wright Phillips turned around and turned to the lads and went, sorry, Charlie. So, have you ever been on Match of the Day? And then went round all the lads. He said, "Have you ever been on Match of the Day?" And he turned to me and I didn't understand what he's saying. "Have you ever been on Match of the Day?" I thought, have I been a guest? And I went, "Well, I think I've been on the opening credits." Like that. He's gone again. So I'm like, he's good entertainment.
One thing I read earlier on, I tried to find a picture. Is it true? We're on the England thread here. Is it true that when you were injured, and I think Capello, you were out for a while, you had England's number 6 on your gloves?
So yeah.
I told him that last night, and he was like, "Nah."
He said this to me last night, and I said, "That's not true," because I would have known about that. I would have heard about that, and that would have been unreal banter if he's done that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had it for a few games. It was when Steve McLaren took over, and there was a period of just before that, I think, where I'd been playing, and I was playing well at West Ham, and it was a period where I think Steve had just taken over or something, and just before I'd spoken to Ray Clements, it was kind of he didn't go see the manager, he didn't bother, he just went to speak to Ray, and Ray turned around, he came back and said, "Look," I said, "Look, how do I get up the pecking order, because someone had dropped out and Chris Kirkland had come in above me as number 2 and I was number 3 still. I went, what's the point? What's the point of me being here if I'm not going to be bumped up?" And Ray turned and he said, "Well, to be honest, Rob, if there's anyone else, we'd pick them, but we haven't got anyone else right now."
No, he did not.
So I was like, right, okay, I'm done. That was, and it was like, all you want as a player is honesty.
You're like in your prime then, really?
That was just before, and then sort of this was my big bugbear with England, is saying everyone talks about World Cup, rah rah rah. He's like, well, no, actually, my best time was a couple of years before that. Yeah. Steve McLaren never picked me once, and it was this ongoing joke. I was making something. I think I can't remember how many penalty saves in a row, but there was big penalty saves I made in games and stuff like that, and there were, it was this sort of ongoing gag that he was like, "What can you do to get picked?" There was nothing I could do. So the West Ham fans would be saying England's number 1, and I turn around and give it the gesture of number 6, and it kept going. and they do it again, and then eventually they start singing England's number 6. And it's all right, well, I'm going to run with this. And I put it on my gloves, where everyone would have their name or their initials or something like that. I just went with England.
Did it make it onto like the news? Did it get onto like Sky Sports or anything? Because if that happened today, that would be on social media like that.
I remember someone had been tipped off because a photographer, when I was warming up, was right next to me. He was there on the side of the goal, like snapping away. And I was like, okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, you got it. And I think Capello came to watch that game. And the fans were giving it, and it was on the wrist and everything like that. And it took a while for me to get picked, yeah.
How did you find Fabio Capello? Because you were in some...
I love your face when you've asked me that.
Did it sound like a loaded question, that one?
Oh, you knew the answer.
Because we were in similar squads. We had sort of like quite a bit of a crossover. That's when I first got to meet you and got to know you, actually. It was with the England squad. But I remember getting called in and kind of training with you, and Fabio Capello, I got the idea, didn't really like goalkeepers very much, did he?
Anyone?
Yeah,
did he like anyone? I mean, he had a select few that he spoke to. I remember being told that I was too fat, which he told everyone.
I was going to say it weren't just you. No, I didn't get that, but he used to say it to Joe Hart all the time.
Yeah.
Like he would come into the goalie sessions, no joke, do you remember?
Yeah.
And he would stop us, like we're mid-diving and stuff, and he'd stop. And he'd go and he'd put his hands behind Joe's bum and go, no, Joe. No, John. He didn't even call him Joe. Yeah. John. He'd called him John. No. And I was thinking, wow, this guy's just bonkers.
His man management wasn't at the forefront of... he wasn't cutting edge, was it? Should we put it that way? I had a conversation about me being too fat. I had a conversation about being dropped. Probably 1 or 2 in however many years. That was about it.
Yeah.
You just it wasn't there. I remember there was we did a training session, and the first training session, and he filmed it, went in to a meeting after, and he blitzed Rio, absolutely destroyed him in front of everyone, and everyone just went, "Wow, Rio's getting it." At some point, we will all get it.
Yeah.
And I remember I came out for a ball in a training session. And I think it was Wayne Bridge came and beat me to it and lobbed me and missed, but he's screaming on the side of the pitch. And I thought, well, he's going now. Imagine what he's going to be like in the meeting room. And he come for me again, and I went, yeah, I misjudged it. And he just carried on. I went, yes, I misjudged it. And he carried on. I went, yes, I misjudged it. I went, well, one of us here is stupid. Like, I don't know how else to address this other than saying, yes, I got it wrong. And that was kind of like the methodology behind it just ran until I don't know, maybe I cry, maybe I just curl up in a ball or something. But
it was never really anything constructive to say. It was always very much, if he's talking to you, he's having a go at you. Yeah. That's all you're getting.
Is it? He's just screaming, why? Why at me in this meeting room in front of 30 people? Why? Why? I misjudged it. Why? Where do I go with this? I think, was it Bullard who I remember Bullard being in one squad.
Oh,
and
God.
just kept calling
Bullard and Bentley, I think, got called up at the same time, didn't
they? And he just kept calling him Postman Pat. I was like, you're never going to get picked for England again.
You've got no chance.
Postman Pat.
Because them two, right, Bentley and Bullard, if the manager would have had a go at them, they wouldn't just sit there and like be serious and constructive. They would just start laughing. Like they weren't.
Brothers,
they didn't have the ability to actually go, yeah, I understand what you're saying. They would just try and take the piss back out of it.
And bear in mind, he hasn't got a cap at this. Jimmy Bullard, he was like first time in the squad type
it was
thing.
just like 2 fireworks sat next to each other, wasn't it?
Cannons,
one of them,
I'd say.
both with both waiting to explode. It was so, like, they're boring trips, aren't they, England trips? And then you've got them two together for one trip only. And there are more going on in that one trip than me in 10 years, 15 years of it.
I had a training session once. It was at Arsenal training ground. And we were doing a goalie exercise, basically where we would take a shot or something, and then somebody tried to play a through ball, but we had to run to the edge of the 18-yard box and try and gauge it. And like you'd slide out and stuff. But Capello was watching this training session, and
over a hurdle as well. Sometimes, wasn't it? Yeah, you got to run 15 yards and dive over a hurdle.
But this one time in particular, I remember Capello was right on the edge of the 18-yard box, and we were sliding into the 18-yard box. And I took one and slid and just kept sliding right into him to the point where I've hit him and he's fell over me. He's like bundled over me, and I'm thinking, nah, mate, he is not going to take, like, some people will just laugh and like laugh it off and it's fine. Mate, he's fuming. Like, even at that, he's fuming. And I'm thinking, mate, you're right in the way, though. There's not a lot I can do about it.
He's obviously had an amazing career, but you got to look at, like, I guess the FA and go, how the bloody hell did he get in that job? Like, have they not done their homework on, like...
I think they wanted a complete polar opposite, didn't they, to what we were used to?
Disciplinarian. Yeah. Whatever, promote. They went from Sven, which was chilled, laid back guy, and sort of internationally renowned success with Lazio and doing that, and then to something homegrown in Steve McLaren. Yeah. So they then went, okay, well, let's, like you say, go for something opposite. We've had all the players running the ship, let's go for a proper disciplinarian and all that, and it just didn't translate.
No, it didn't, did it?
No, when you're in it, I don't know whether it was just pure fear or whether you're just desperate to do well. You don't see how wrong it is. But I think there was various things where you just saw and you just went, but looking back, you're going, wow, this is absolute bollocks.
Do you look at sort of your England career? We'll talk about some of the moments in your England career, and there's some horrible moments as well. But do you look at it and think, I didn't really enjoy that?
I think it's a strange one because it's really hard to describe from when you're inside to people on the outside. It's possibly from where your expectations are to where the reality is one of the most underwhelming things to happen in your career. I don't know whether you felt the same, but you go into the squad and you're in with a bunch of lads who were there as well. And you think, wow, this is a pinnacle. And they're just sat there going, I'm bored as well.
Yeah.
And, I walked in. I was at Norwich at the time. And it was the last squad before Euros, I think it was. I had to be the fourth choice keeper. So I didn't know. We were in the the old Division 1. Yeah. It was that long ago. I didn't know anyone. I walked in, didn't speak to anyone. A few people said hello. That was it. Go off and play the games and come back and go training. And and it never really changed much from there. And then you go into, well, it's brilliant. You get the acclaim of your country, whatever. We don't really. You play the game, you think, oh, that went well. You go home. Okay, I'm at home. You go to training the next day, all the other lads are coming off the international duty as well. And they go, how'd you go on? Who'd you play? They don't care. And then you've got a game on Saturday. This is a Thursday afternoon or something like that. Everyone's flown back. You got Thursday afternoon, and you go, oh, right, we're back in the mix.
Back to it, yeah. I always remember coming back off international duty, and we'd have a team of like Northern Irish players, Irish, Welsh, Scottish, and they'll all be coming back buzzing like that was. We just had the best trip ever. Like the lads are so good. Everybody, we get on so well. We did this, we did that, and I used to come back and thinking, I'm the opposite to that. I have just had the most boring 10 days ever. So it would always be, even when you got selected, I would half be thinking, I really don't want to get selected. I really don't want to be here. Because
well, unless you're playing.
But even then, though, I just think at the time, the pressure was, and it was such a miserable place to be, wasn't it?
I think it was really difficult on a number of fronts. Obviously you had the spell at Manchester United, but if you weren't in a club with a lot of players, it was fairly lonely.
Yeah.
Being at Norwich, at West Ham, and later on it was all right. I didn't really care being at QPR, but particularly West Ham, I'd have Matt Upson or Scott Parker or Carlton Cole at different times maybe, but that was about it. To people, you think, and you're looking at us going, why aren't you chatting to the other lads? It just didn't happen. You just kind of got the group there, and at the time you're thinking, wow, it's me. I've done something or whatever, but you're just not a part of it. And it's really difficult to then sort of break through that. You've got to be some proper, like a bullard, like a proper extrovert to break down barriers. Or you just sit there and just go, wow, okay. And if you don't play, the other thing being, a lot of the time, this is before the days of 200 subs or whatever you have on international duty now. They'd name the team and you go, okay, right, I'm not playing, right? you walk around the dressing room at the start of the game, not see your shirt up. And you go, right, I'm not on the bench. I'll just go and stand over here then. And you just stand in the tunnel.
Nobody's really telling you what to do or where to be. Yeah,
and you just stood there for the evening. But then when you were playing, you felt wholly underprepared. You go out going, don't feel like I've caught a ball. Don't feel like I've stopped a lot of shots. Don't feel like we've trained together in shape a lot because they're so scared of naming the team and that sort of thing. So it was so far removed from what made you good and what you enjoyed on a club level that you look back and think, well, we never really gave ourselves a chance.
It was, even with regards to, it's interesting you say about it's so different to what you're used to. So we'd go away with England and you'd have a different goalie coach to what you're used to at your club. And I think English goalkeeper coaches, we're kind of renowned for being, right, you're working hard. Yeah, we're gonna get load of contacts on the ball. You're gonna be catching, but you're gonna be diving. You're gonna be working. But I felt that prepared you quite well, right? You felt quite sharp from it, from when you came from your football club. But you'd assume going to the international team that it would be a step up again. Like the quality would be amazing. You'd feel super sharp. And when you're playing six-a-sides and stuff, you do get that sharpness because everybody is so much quicker, isn't they, than what you're used to training at West Ham or West Brom or whatever. But we go away with England and the goalie coaches, they never really kind of raised the bar, did they? I mean, I remember...
We had 45 minutes.
Was it Franco Tancredi?
Yeah.
Tancredi was Capello's goalkeeper coach. And he used to sort of just roll a lot, chuck a lot. It was a very different way of goalkeeper coaching, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. And you're looking at... It was 45 minutes of training a day. They're desperately keen, no one to get injured.
Yeah.
So you'd have 6 minutes of catching the ball. Oh, you're with the team to do some sort of shape or whatever it might. Yeah. And you're walking through shape. It wasn't even the team that was playing or whatever. It was such a strange phenomenon from what made you good on a Saturday to we're going to remove all that. And I think this is something that Jordan Pickford, as good as he's been for England, has really benefited from. When he went to Everton, the goalkeeper coach there, Martin Margetson, signed him. And then you're looking and saying, who's the England goalkeeper coach when he goes in there? It's Martin Margetson. Yeah. Knows how he works, knows what makes him tick. And Marge was able to go, right, let's replicate that. And you actually saw him then go back to Everton and play better after an international break. I mean, you're talking... How long did it take you to come back from England to say, right, I'm back in the swing of it?
Yeah, a little while. It does. It takes you a while to get back into the groove of things, back to your normal training techniques and what makes you sharp, because you've just had nothing like that for the last 10 days or so, haven't you?
This episode is brought to you by Expedia. One of the best things about being on holiday is that feeling of total freedom. No alarms, no meetings, no to-do list. Just waking up and doing whatever you want. It's been a busy year for the Fozcast. Nearly 100 episodes recorded, which means plenty of miles on the clock. Motorways, flights, and different hotels. So sometimes you just need a bit of me time, which is why I have just booked a 4-day golf trip with the boys to Portugal. And Expedia makes these spontaneous moments easier and more affordable with bundle and save. No matter when you book multiple items for your trip, flights, hotels, and car rentals, you can save. And if you're a member, you can book one part of your trip first, then add more right up until your last day of travel. It's never too late to save. Book now with Expedia.
Sorry, quick. I just need to jump on the Jordan Pickford part because we were talking about Jordan the other day. Actually, we're a couple of days after he's made this unreal save against Newcastle, and it was an absolutely fantastic save. But we had Darren Bent on the show a couple of days ago, and he said, "Who is the best English goalkeeper?" Like Dean Henderson's doing really well. Blah blah blah. I said, "Do you know what?" I said, "I think Dino's probably a better goalkeeper than Jordan, but that for me is by the by because the most important part of playing for England." I think it's in between your ears. It's what you've got in your head. Are you able to deal with that pressure and that stress? And Jordan Pickford has done it for so long now. And the reason why he's done it is because he can deal with that pressure and stress. And he might not necessarily be as good in certain areas as other goalies, but what makes him overwhelmingly better is that in between the ears bit for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. What makes you tick? What makes you in an overloaded state as opposed to a peak performance state or an underloaded state? You know, we talk about being bored with England or something. A lot of players probably go in underloaded, in sort of having to fabricate some sort of stimulus within them to say, right, it's game time, let's play, or whatever, and it not working. Whereas the makeup of Jordan, and people see him ranting and raving or whatever, but there's a balance there for him, sort of a fine margin as to saying it's too high, as opposed to, but it manages to stay in that state
I
now
think
better
that's
and
how
better.
Like a pressure valve.
Yeah.
That's how he relieved his pressure, right?
Yeah,
By ranting and raving. You watch it sometimes. We were watching it at the Euros actually in Germany, weren't we? And I said, just take your eyes off what's happening at the other end, right? Just watch Jordan, yeah? And honestly, mate.
It's how he regulates himself, isn't it?
Exactly that.
Yeah,
it's how he
yeah.
regulates himself. He must have so much like crazy nervous energy.
He's like a boxer in the corner punching himself or something, isn't it?
It's exactly what he's like.
Was Joe a bit like that then? Joe Hart? Or
a little bit.
different?
He was a little bit like, Joe always reminded me of like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. Like he was just a bundle of energy, good to go. But in the game, he was a bit more like, he would be in the game and he'd keep himself in the game by talking or doing stuff that would actually benefit other people. But Jordan just takes himself off and just points and talks to the and he was talking to the bench and he's pointing, and I'm thinking, wow, mate, you're mad, but this works for you. It's as simple as that.
The question for you, when you talk about that save, and I watched it, fantastic save, and you saw the reaction of one of the defenders, I can't remember who it was, just look at
I think
Branthwaite, just like, wow, Tarkovsky or wherever it was. Did he get up and shout Vamos?
Yes. Yes, he did. He did that. That. And then he shouted Vamos and started tapping at his hand.
He's from Sunderland.
Where does that come from?
Has he got a Spanish goalie coach? Who's the goalie coach?
I don't know why. Unless he was saying it to a Spanish player.
I do not know who he's talking
love that.
to. I swear he
said Vamos. Yeah, but it must just be one of these like word salad comes out of his mouth, and it's just like he can't help himself.
You can hear the lads celebrating when they're playing for Real Madrid or something like that. Yeah, see, vamos, see, that way, or something like that. And then you see Jordan Pickford do it. I was like, he just said vamos.
He did say vamos, yeah. Oh, that's funny.
You talk about like England, going away with England, and like the Irish lads or the Scottish lads have come back and they'll be buzzing. Is this because the pressure on England is, like, with the greatest respect, they're underdogs and there's this camaraderie amongst the teams, or is it set by the manager? Why can't our lads go away and have that, or has that got better?
I think they do now.
Yeah,
I think Gareth Southgate, two things he's brilliant at. One was creating what they wanted was a club culture, and within that the openness towards the media and things like that changed. But then, they also managed to find something that was greater than football. The causes that they ran for, what they believed in, what they stood for, all of a sudden the football became, now it's football. Whereas for us, it was like, bloody hell, it's a game for England. And I think it's a culture within there that you talked about with, I think I was speaking to Richard Dunn, it might have been, who spoke about Kenny Cunningham, I think it was. Apologies if it's wrong, but he said, he was the Irish captain, he said, he's absolutely brilliant. So welcoming. Would spend the day on your first day just walking around with you, showing you around, making sure you're in with the lads, chatting, bring you into conversations, stuff like that. He said, "What's your captain doing?" And I was like, I don't even know who it is. It was like that, and it's a cultural thing. It was just, and to be fair to the lads, because you've only ever known what you've only known, to create something different is so difficult, and you'd have to have so much energy into that in such a short space of time that it's almost, first you've got to recognise it, and secondly then you've got to have the character, the discipline, the drive to do that within a group that's very disparate anyway. Who might just, and it's been the Liverpool lads might turn to the Man United players and go, shut up. If Stevie G was doing it and Rio turned around and went, no, I'm not doing it, I'm not joining in, or vice versa, or whoever it was, or Frank Lampard or John Terry at Chelsea, it was so hard to then change that. And we didn't even know that needed changing. We didn't know at the time.
It's just what it was, wasn't it?
That's just, you just sat there.
Because it was such a stressful time, and playing for England back then really was like, you talk about some of the legends that you've just mentioned there, and all them will agree, it was such a stressful time to play for England. But the more stress you have on you, the less energy you actually have to try and do all the other bits and bobs. So when you're under stress, then you haven't got so much energy to help a young player or to feel a young goalie integrate and help them integrate into it. You kind of just lock down and look after yourself and think, well, just get yourself through it. That's all I've got energy for. Just get myself through it.
There was one game and Frankie Fielding got called up. Nice lad. Came into the squad, sat down, sit next to us. He didn't know anyone. He's absolutely bricking it. Poor guy, you know. And he sat down and someone sat next to him and went, "Who's that?" And he go, "Oh, no."
Horrible,
Frank,
isn't it?
He just wanted to curl up in a ball, roll under the table, and just sat there and went, "Wow, okay." You know, that was the first time. And I think I don't know how old I was then, but I'd been around a long time. I was going, this is wrong. This is just wrong. So that kind of sums up. You know, it was just a natural reaction from someone to do that. But
if you're Frankie Fielding,
if you just don't make you feel a part of it.
You spoke about being unprepared a minute ago. You did a piece on Sky Sports where you were talking about the USA game, and you said that you didn't know that you were going to be starting that game until about an hour and a half before kickoff, when you've gone on for the team talk and Capello lifts the flipboard and your name is at the top. You're the one that's going to be starting. That blows my mind, Greenie. Honestly, that is bonkers, because I think if you're going away to a World Cup, you have to know the pecking order. There has to be a very set and clear 1, 2, 3. Simple as that. But in the days leading up to a game, everybody should know who's starting, right? Everybody has to, especially the goalkeeper. You have to know who's starting that game.
Yeah. Well, what number was I? 12.
You were so you were the second choice, though, right? You.
Well, I don't know.
Numbers wise, normally it goes whoever's number one is number one.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have number 12 would probably be second choice.
Yeah.
The later number would be the third choice.
Yeah.
So you would have assumed that you were going into that tournament as second choice
They
goalie.
said they did it in age. I mean, you just you know.
Age.
Yeah,
JMO, obviously,
JMO's
the oldest, so number one.
Yeah.
I know, why the hell would you do that? How old are they?
It's so random.
So, I mean, you're looking at something that, you know, how long, when did you start preparing for a game?
Oh, a couple of days.
Thursday?
I'd need a couple of days, yeah.
Thursday,
get my head around it. Let's get into it, yeah.
You have a chilled out night on a Thursday night, and then probably during the day, Friday, right, wake up. Okay, let's do this, do that. Thursday night, you'd probably say, well, I don't want a rough night's sleep on a Thursday, because when you're not playing, it's not the same.
Yeah.
You can't put the same amount of energy into a game that you're not playing in on a Thursday and a Friday. You can, because if you did that all the time, you'd just be spent, because you build up to a game that you're not playing in. You'd be sat there going, right, let's go. Oh, I'm not playing. It just physically and mentally isn't there. So then you're left in a limbo of, well, is it role A or role B? You know, one or two, and you kind of sat in this thing going, well, I've got to prepare like I am, but within the back of your mind not knowing. And then when you do know, which was, as you said, you know, just before leaving on the bus, you go, right, okay, that Thursday night, Friday during the day, Saturday during the day is done now in the next half hour. So you just, I don't know, you're just in absolute hyperspeed trying to go through all the preparation and everything.
The 2010 World Cup. There's you, David James, and Joe Hart.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this was Joe,
Young Joe.
just been on loan at Birmingham.
Just got into the England team.
So
obviously going to be very good.
What does the training situation look like with 3 competitive goalies and
strange.
not knowing?
It was a strange one that, I don't know whether the number one would go first. If you had a drill, you'd go first.
I'm a massive believer in that pecking order, Greenie.
Yeah.
I'm a massive believer that the first choice goalie should go first in the training exercises, set the standard, and then the second choice goes, I'm going to try and beat you. And then the third choice, usually a young kid, Joe Hart, goes, I'm younger and fitter than all of you, so I'm going to try and do even better. And I think that should be the way that it should be.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was a bit more relaxed, because as first choice, I'd go to people, oh, you go. It's fine. You know. But then I was taking the power, because I was letting them go, sort of thing. So but with that, I mean, JMO's like, he's a character within himself that I think people found him. There was an element within there. If he's in the squad, you want him playing.
Yeah.
and because it's a difficult dynamic to manage if
he's not a good number 2, David James. He would not be a good number 2 or number 3, would he?
No. And so I think that there was something about keeping everyone happy in the build-up to the game.
You think that's what it was? Do you think that the manager was probably scared to let that goalie department know that you were going to be playing and J-Mo would have been number 2?
We had 3 warm-up games before it. I think it was Mexico. I played the first half and did well. I think there was a game against Egypt, I think, and then a game against Japan, which I didn't play in, where Joe and J-Mo, I think, played a fraction. I can't remember. But there was enough in there for me to think, okay, I could. If I didn't have played as much as I'd had, I don't think I would have gone in with the consideration that I might have been starting. But you still don't know. There was no inclination whatsoever. And then we played some awful game that was in South Africa against Sewato All-Stars or something like that. We scraped through and a win on an awful pitch we were 1-1 or something like that. And you just like going, oh my, what is this? And it just, and you speak to the manager, or the manager speaks, and he's so unhappy. You're there thinking, well, actually, we're still up in the air here, because he's not pleased with anyone. So it was just question marks around everything.
So anyway, you obviously you played the game, and then the big sort of like moment for you obviously would have been the Clint Dempsey goal in about the 40th minute, I think of what it was. I still blame the ball, Greenie, the Jabulanis, dirty, naughty Jabulanis. Which, are they as bad as what people make out they are?
It was incredible.
I'm not blaming the ball for this goal. I think I think everyone will agree that it was just a technical error. You kind of caught it. Well, you got it a bit wrong, and it goes in the back of the net. But then balls were devil balls.
People still make YouTube videos with them now.
Yeah.
Oh, they're horrific.
They were. So for the goal, it was literally just going down a little bit too low. It hit me on the hand, on the thumb section rather than on the palm of my hand. Yeah. And that was it. The ball itself, I mean, it was making the best players in the world look stupid.
Yeah.
And you were talking about guys hitting passes of, I don't know, they hit a 30-yard switch and they'd be kicking the ball further than they could kick it. And it'd be sailing off into
wiggling at the same time.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I think Theo was on the wing, Theo Walcott's on the wing, and someone's got the ball out and pinged it out to him. And it's just, everyone's just stopped. I watch this ball going. It's like in a cartoon when a pig just flies off and everyone's just stood there watching this ball disappear.
Shouldn't do that.
And stood next to Theo was Capello, who's just gone ballistic as this ball's still travelling off into the distance, and he's just having a go at someone who's played. I don't know who it was. It might be Gareth Barry or Frank or a midfielder, like a top class midfielder. Just gone, I've just kicked the ball by 4,000% or something like that. I cannot kick it that far. And he's going ballistic. And Theo stood next to him going, when he does get it right, I've got to control it. I've got no chance. Oh my God. So yeah, he provided some spectacular goals, but at the same time, it was, I think, just for the pure basics, it was something that was, we never saw it again.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
I remember I was in a few, maybe like warm-up camps or whatever. Because I obviously didn't go to that World Cup, but I remember training with that ball, and it would, as a goalie, it genuinely would scare me. It scared me, and I used to think, if anybody is looking to shoot from 40, 50 yards,
well, I was just about to say, you'd rather them shoot from 5 yards.
You'd much rather them shoot
let them come closer. Let them come closer, because it can't move.
Yeah. Don't shut him down. Don't shut him down.
Yeah,
because those 40, 50 yarders is where they can really start to take flight and just wiggle wobble and finger breakers. They're just waiting to make you look a dickhead, aren't they?
It's so hard to explain to people when you say, so it's a bit less now that everyone's got their own branded ball or whatever, but when you used to go and play in Europe, and this is, you're playing with, each team used to have their own ball.
Yeah.
And then you used to have the Premier League ball, the FA Cup ball, like they have now, but it was a lot more varied. And then you go and play in Europe, and it was a select ball in Northern Europe, and then a different ball, and then you just like, and you had a day or 2 days training with that ball. You go, right, you got to learn quick as to what they do, because you knew that a mitre, when it went a shot from distance, it'd dip. A night ball might rise, but invariably dip or whatever. An Adidas ball would go anywhere, and then select ball was like a volley ball, or that was crazy. So you just, and you never really knew
what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I remember, right, I had one, it always sticks out in my mind. We were playing it was an FA Cup match against Liverpool, right, away for West Brom. And the gloves I had on, I don't know if they were brand new or just whatever, but for some reason they were different latex. It's like I'd been sent the wrong pair of gloves, a different pair of gloves or something. And it was a completely different latex, because you get real good latex from Germany. You can get a real cheaper stuff from like Pakistan or somewhere like that. And it was the cheaper version, right? And so I'm on the pitch at Anfield, out having my warm-up, and I'm thinking, these feels like a bar of soap. Genuinely, just a bar of soap. Nothing is stopping in it. It is slipping through every single thing. Horrific warm-up, right? And I remember thinking, well, I ain't got no more gloves with me. I'm just going to have to get through it. And I had to go into the game with a completely different mindset of, do not try and catch a single thing, yeah? You are going to have to pat everything down. A cross comes in and it's a doozy. You're still just going to have to bring it down, pop it down, and then grab it. Everything just gets stopped, and it completely changes the way you go into the game. It's mad, it is, honestly. A goalkeeper's life is mental, I promise you.
There was a season, I can't remember which season it was, but the new Nike ball had been brought out, and the pre-season was a wet one. It hammered down for weeks during pre-season, and goalkeepers were phoning each other, going, what the hell's going on? I've not caught a ball. I've done 6 weeks of pre-season, not caught a ball.
Oh, it's mad. We'll just carry on the back of the USA then. So it's a big error. The game ends 1-1. You actually make a save late on in that game as well from Jose Altidore. And I was watching the save yesterday. And I need to know what's going through your mind here, right? Because it's a fantastic save. Down to your right, it sort of pops up and hits the crossbar, comes across goal. In that moment, split moment, when you've already made a mistake, when it comes off your hand, were you fully confident you'd done enough to stop the ball going in the back of the net?
I thought, I'm dead.
Told you this. I knew it. I could see the look on your face. I could see your body position. And I thought, I said to you this morning, didn't I? I said, I bet Rob will say, I thought that's gone in the back of the net because of the mistake I've made. Bad luck's on my side anyway.
Yeah. Never make two. You can make one mistake. The worst thing more than making one mistake is two. And I'm not sure it would have been a mistake, but because of the first one, you're thinking the second one's going to... And there are saves in there where it talks about Jordan Pickford's save. I don't think he knew that he'd saved that up until the point where it cannons away and he gets up and vamos. Yeah, it's so... Yeah, it hit the woodwork, didn't it? And it hits your hand, and you know if it's flush or if it's a deflection or what's... And you're just hoping. I remember having numerous saves or numerous shots where you get a touch and it goes in and you go, wish I'd never have died for that.
Yeah.
Because if I hadn't have died for it, I wouldn't have got the touch. And people go, oh, he said no chance. But because you've done so well to get there, but you've just made a touch. There was one I made from Nigel Quasi, who used to shoot from distance. He was playing for Portsmouth, I think. And I've dived full stretch. And I've got a touch, and I've got, oh no, I wish it had just gone clean in. And I touched it round the post. Actually, I've saved it. That sort of thing.
You don't get many of them, do you?
Oh no, you
don't
surprise
get many
yourself.
of them. Ones where you get a touch and you think, oh no, it's still gone in. And then you look and you go, oh my God, they're the best saves ever.
Well, that was one where I thought, I'm dead. I'm not going home. I'm never going back in the country. All this sort of, how am I going to play football again? And this rattled through your brain in the space of, what? Half a second, less than half a second. It's like the life flashing before your eyes. You think, I've not saved that, but yeah, it bounced off and came out. So,
how do you deal with them? So in those low moments of your career, like how, as a guy, how did you deal with that? Was the goalkeeping coaches, were they there to confide in? Like, how did you respond? Like,
it's difficult within a World Cup, within that context, because you don't really have that relationship, I mean, the goalkeeper coach for that didn't really speak English. So I'm gonna say, okay, let's have a heart to heart. He's like, okay, it's not there. I think you find your own way. I think you reach a point in your career, and maybe it's through going through these moments you learn, I called it like an armour. You build yourself up with an armour of, and this is where I think the best players in the world are brilliant, where you just have an element of, you just don't care. You're so good that you just go, if I could do anything for myself, was to go back and say, what can you say to yourself as a 16-year-old or whatever? You say, be so arrogant that you don't care. Because the fact that you do care is in you. You know that you care. You know that, but it's so hard to tell yourself that when you're in it, because you look at the players who it just bounces off and they're just like, whatever. You played with Wayne Rooney. He's the prime example of someone who just goes, I'm the best. I'll just go out on the pitch and do it.
It's an amazing skill to have. I only learnt it late in my 20s, Greenie. I promise you. It was only when I left Man United. It was probably when I signed for Birmingham. Really, I started having kids, and I had to go right. You either get bogged down with all the pressure and just care too much, basically, or you could get rid of it and go, do you know what? Bollocks. I am trying my best here, right? If a goal goes in because I didn't quite do the technique, but I'm still trying my best, so sod it. I'm not going to care anymore. And that's when the shackles come off and you go, boom, I can go and do this carefree now. Yeah,
I mean, I had a year at Chelsea at the end of my career when I wasn't going to play. Therefore, you don't really care. Just enjoy it.
Yeah,
it was brilliant. So much fun just to go out and train.
Best year of your career, do you reckon?
It's such a shame that you learn the most.
Yeah.
I played a couple of pre-season friendlies, and you're playing with players who are functioning mentally at such a point where you're just like, why didn't I learn this 20 years ago? You have moments, like I had moments with Jorginho, and people love Jorginho or not like Jorginho or whatever, but what he could do was understand the game, and he just turned to me and went, in the middle of a game, what are you doing? I'm trying to keep the ball out of the goal, Jorginho. He went, no, what you need to do is this, because they're playing this shape, and you just do this, and I'm going to stand there, and then and all of a sudden it's like the game slowed down, and all these chess pieces started to move. You just went, oh my God, I've been playing this different game. And so you're playing with guys that have that don't care, and it's the multicultural side of football as well is something brilliant, where if you show with an English mentality was you had to care, and if you didn't walk in and punch the tea lady, it showed that you something like that, you had to go and pick the mask up or the ball boy up and throw him into the stand and like show that you cared, like that sort of stuff. And then you go and play with Willian or David Luiz, and it's fun. Just go and do what you got to do, and you're like, these guys are brilliant. Why aren't you, picking fights with people or something? It's not, it's just a different way of operating. You think that's what you feel like you missed, or feel like I missed out on for till I was 39.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do we get that into players younger then? Is it just, unfortunately, it's just experience where you get older, your experience goes up, and then eventually you stop playing?
If you can overlap, like say, if a young 19, 18-year-old Rob Green was doing that, and you're surrounded by those players, surrounded in that environment by that mentality, that you get that from the get-go. Yeah, it took him 20 years to be surrounded by that, right? But if you're a 19, 18-year-old and you're obviously a very good player and you're surrounded by it, that's got to be the greatest start to your footballing career you could possibly wish for.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up down the road here, and my first team that I played for as professionally was Wimbledon, my local team, as a professional side. And then didn't make it with them, got released, and went to Spurs. And they were like, oh, okay, making noises, yeah, Spurs, and sort of you're playing around South London or whatever in Surrey and that, and there's plenty of scouts. Ended up going to Norwich because the development programme was so good. And you just feel now, growing up, if I'd have been at a Chelsea, which was a stone's throw from a parent's house or whatever, but the training ground, but you just look and say you'd have learnt so much off the Chelsea team of the late 90s. That those guys, you'd have been, I had Gianfranco Zola as a coach later on. His job was to replace Maradona. Are you there? You're looking at going, wow, imagine learning off that when I was 16, when I was 17. That sort of thing would have been, it would have been such an education as opposed to, good lads working hard in the Championship in the old Division 1 in Norwich. It's just a different
Would you say that, so like with these clubs, like the Norwiches, the West Hams, the West Broms, the difference there, everyone can run fast, everyone's a good footballer. Would you say that absolute difference then, what you learn, it's football IQ? Like that Jorginho story there is fascinating, really, for me.
It's just, there's football IQ and a mentality there that might not work in the Championship. It is a different game. You came up with, obviously Stoke and Watford playing there, and then you come up against guys that are just playing a different game. You're just there going, well, those guys are getting 100% out of what they're doing. These guys are getting 100% out of what they're doing. There's just a whole lot more. It's just something else. I mean, and the guys who are good enough to play there, or the guys who are good enough to play in the Premier League or the top teams and are playing in the Championship, have done something wrong. There's something missing, in terms of attitude, in terms of whatever. So, they're ticking so many boxes. It's just a completely different understanding.
Where do you see the state of goalkeeping at the minute when you watch it?
It's interesting, isn't it? It's an interesting take on the world now within goalkeeping. You look at the Premier League now and go, well, he's not very good at crosses. He's not very good at crosses. He's not very good at crosses. You're like, well, hold on a minute. This is what we dealt with 20 years ago. Getting beaten up on a corner. This is a throwback. Yeah. And you are thrown into a mix, right? Play out from your feet, do this, do that. And, all these guys, it's something else to say, you've got to be good with your feet. You've got to save every shot, or else you're going to get crucified. You've got to now find a way to fight at corners and be, so resilient in there, or else you're going to get criticised for that as well. So it's throwing out something else into the pot where it kind of got out of the game. You used to, we played against Arsenal sides that never crossed the ball. I used to love playing at the Emirates against Arsenal because they never crossed it. It was one part of the game in a week. You just go, Thursday, crossing day. Don't bother.
It's mad, isn't it? You're playing against Arsenal. All throughout your career, Arsenal would have been one of the better teams, right? They're always up there. They're one of the better teams. But you never really worried about it because they don't cross the ball. And I promise you, as a goalkeeper, teams that are going to put the ball into the box, as a goalie, you're dreading them. You're dreading them because the onus is on you to help your team out. And you are going to have to be on the front foot, and you could expose yourself if you don't get it right.
And that is a game where you do have to beat up the mascot. You do have to try and kill everyone. It's, you go from, I played a game against Bolton when I was a teenager, and one corner, the ball's coming in, chipped it in. I now realise they were doing it on purpose. Colin Hendry's at the near post. I've called for it, and he's just gone flop and bust my nose. Ball's nowhere near. And you're just like, wow, okay. Head's ringing, get on with the game, whatever. A few years later, I'm playing against the invincible Arsenal team. And Dennis Bergkamp doesn't head the ball. He's just playing in the side that, why would I head it? The ball never leaves the floor. This is ridiculous. It was a period where there was such polar opposites within the game, wasn't there? That you had such a dichotomy within one league. It was incredible. But I quite enjoyed those games in a perverse way, where you're just like, right, I know what's coming. Actually, I'm just going to give as good as her to get here.
If you get off to a good start, if you're playing those games, the Stokes, the Boltons, and you get off to a good start and you come and get a early punch or a good little claim, you'd always have a little look from the big striker. They always give you a look of like, a fair dues, all right, next one, and you'd make it a little bit of a personal battle. But you need to get off to a good start, because if you don't, the crowd then notice it as well. And every ball that comes in, it's whoa. And I don't care who you are, you hear it. I swear on my life, you hear it. If you have a bit of a bad touch with your feet and you don't quite pass it right, the crowd notice and they get on it. And the next time, whoa, and you're so aware of it, aren't you?
Yeah, Jutkovic, the lad at Birmingham. Yeah, I played against him in one game. And he absolutely smashed me from a corner.
Big Jukey.
Yeah, and then the next corner, right, he's getting it or whatever it was, and I lined him up perfect, caught him a treat, and he's hit the deck. He just he got up and he went, nice one.
He's good at it. He's good.
Like fair dudes, yeah.
Mutual.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I remember playing Stoke away, and we won 1-0. It was the worst game in the world, and we scored early, and Lucas Neal was our captain, right back, and every time the ball went off, he turned to the ball boy, and he went, give me the towel. It was a ball, it was sort of halfway in our own half, and he was throwing it there. And he was just like, give me the towel. every time we're like, nice one, yeah. This is how it is, yeah.
Who are some of the best strikers you came up against in your career then? So, 20 years? You've seen a big old vast array of good ones, haven't you?
Yeah, Henry was just, he's the one player playing 20-something years ago that could play now.
Yeah.
Just playing. He scored a hat-trick against me at the Highbury. And you're just like...
That's a badge of honour now, you know that.
Yeah, he was... I just said to him at the end of the game, I said, that was something different. You know, watching that, I'm effectively, I was watching, was some stuff that he was doing so quick, so fast, that you couldn't... I'm looking at the team I played, and we were playing the game. And I was stood next to, we cleared a corner or whatever, and Craig Fleming, the centre half, was stood next to me. And I was about 5 yards out. I went, come on, Clem, push up. He just looked at me and went, no. I'm staying here.
And leave
he
that
was
space
6 yards out.
Leave that space there.
All
no
that
chance.
space, that's 6 yards behind you. He's like, no, I'm staying here. Just lived in fear. I don't want to pick on Flem, but he lined up Thierry Henry from about 5 yards away. The ball was coming into his feet, and he ran and he went to put him into the stands. And Thierry Henry was over there somewhere. He missed him by about 3 seconds, and he was just like, okay, never mind. He was special. And later on, I found Jermaine Defoe annoying.
Yeah, he was horrible, wasn't he?
Just annoying. That little touch out of his feet,
Bang.
And then back between the defender's legs, and you knew it was annoying because you knew the defender was going to open his legs. You knew that you had to stand there, but you knew it was going to go in the near post, and everyone go, oh, near post shot, it's going to go in. You're like, here we go. You know, you say he was one that just so quick and around the area, touch out of his feet, and it wasn't even a touch; it was didn't.
Yeah,
and he knew
no backlift.
No, but
power was for the amount he could generate. Honestly, with no backlift, scary, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then the one that was just a joy. I mean, I played against him, but also just to see him in training was Hazard as well. He was just funny. Little podgy belly. He'd be sat there in the dressing room. The lads are battering, going, he's so fat. You know, He said, he said, he said, you need me. He said, and you know what? If I don't eat what I want, I'm not happy. And if I'm not happy, I don't play well.
That'll do for me.
And he'd go out and score hat-trick. Sarri was the manager, and he was the most neurotic man you'd ever want to meet. And he'd come into he's go, right, this is the way we're playing. And I'd be yeah. And he'd get to the Saturday, and he's like, just get Ed in the ball. Just get him the ball, and something will happen. And we got to get him there. And you saw him, I think it was in the League Cup. He scored that goal against Liverpool. And he just went, dum, and threw and scored. And they interviewed him after the game and said, why, what was going through your mind when you scored that goal? And he said, well, it was a draw at the time. And I was looking across, and I saw N'Golo Kante. And I saw N'Golo, and I thought, NG doesn't want to take a penalty. I better score. Like, this is against Liverpool that happened. This is a guy doing it at the top level. And you talk about not caring. He knew he was brilliant. That sort of thing was just...
I always think when people say about players like him and could he have played longer and was the prime long enough and these things, and you go, well, like you just said, if that application, that immense professionalism was there, he wouldn't have been happy.
Agree.
Like, do you know what I mean? I think with players like that, you would just have to accept
For what it was.
And he was utterly world class.
Yeah.
There's an element to say, if you are going to be the best of the best of the best of the best in that finite percentile, there's actually something wrong with you. You're not well.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. Or psychologically, you are made up so differently.
Yeah, there's a flaw somewhere.
Yeah. That you've got this going for you, that going for you, that going for you. There's probably an element of narcissism in there. You know, that sort of thing.
It's always at what cost, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always at what cost.
Yeah. And so there's you know, if his bit was to get the best out of me, I've got to be this way. And I'm losing out on that bit.
How about the fact that he signed for Real Madrid for an absolute shed load of money, and then that little podgy belly got an absolute tanko, and he just got the cigar out and went, "That'll do, that'll do."
He'd done his work at that point.
What a player!
He was unreal at Chelsea.
Oh, mate, he sat me down so many times. I used to hate playing against Chelsea and Eden Hazard because he would come through one-on-one, and I'd know for a fact he's putting in the corner, and then he'd chop me and make me look an absolute dickhead. And I've got an absolute roll of video where he's done it to me about 5 times.
Well, he had a penalty. I had a good record with penalties. I thought, yeah. And he put the ball down. I was going, right, okay, yeah, I know what he's going to do. And he got to the ball, and I just went, oh, shit. He knows that I know.
Yeah.
But he also knows. And he just stood, he just sort of stood waiting, and the time's going in slow-mo, and you just see yourself just going, I'm falling this way as the ball starts to roll that way. And you go, what just happened? Because that wasn't what was going through my head.
Yeah. I thought I had you.
Yeah.
I thought I was mind fucking you.
Yeah. I've got this. Oh no, he knows that. Yeah.
We've got to ask about your time at Do you know what? It was mad, actually. Me and Ben were looking this morning, and obviously there was some transfers in there, but you went through a period of 6 seasons where you went Premier League, Championship, Premier League, Championship, Premier League, Championship. And I was like, that's like...
Yeah, it's weird.
Must be difficult to comprehend, because it's like, I think that some people don't always appreciate the schedule of the Championship, do they? Where it's like the midweek,
Saturday,
the weekend
Wednesday,
games.
Wednesday.
Like, was that a constant adjustment for those years?
No, the background of being in the old Division 1, being in the Championship, having seasons there, so it's water off a duck's back doing it. You know, you'd been there before. I think the emotional attrition it has on you, you know, fighting relegation is tough. Then going down and being in the team that you've got to go up again and that sort of stuff. It's that's a different type of pressure, expecting to go up, and getting relegated is you know, I mean, we've both been there. It's at times, sometimes when you're the team that you get promoted. You had it at Watford, I had it at Norwich. You get promoted and you go back down again, and you're the small club, and you're thinking, well, no one knows what's going to happen. We have no idea. It kind of feels, it's tough. But then, you know, I did a podcast for West Ham, and I was speaking about getting relegated there, and the edit is out. So much of it, because I was so angry about getting relegated with West Ham. So frustrated still now. Just that emotional... It strips something out of you. And then you've got to go again.
What is it? What is it that strips them out of you? Is because you know the players that got you relegated are capable of so much more. Because I think I know which West Ham team you're on about, and you shouldn't have got relegated. But you get to see a different side of people when shit hits the fan, don't you?
That was QPR. That where we had a bunch of players, a bunch of lads coming in, and it was such a mess. I went in, and a bunch of lads who you're thinking, yeah, we've signed all these guys, you know, good lads coming in, you know, and then everything changed. It wasn't 6 or 7 or 8. It was 20. And, you know, some of the guys coming in going, what the hell's going on? They went in with the remit of signing a whole new squad, and then expecting that.
This
to
was
work.
Mark Hughes, wasn't it?
That was under Mark Hughes, who, you know, I went under the proviso of understanding what he'd done at Blackburn. Tough taskmaster, let's get this sorted out, and it didn't work out like that. It was just, you know, what the hell's going on? what is this? We had pre-season, we saw all these guys coming in, and we're thinking, this is a mess. This is, we have no idea what's going on. And there was Jamie Mackey, Clint Hill, Sean Derry and myself stood there, and we looked, and at one point in the season, I'd already been dropped by this point for Julio Cesar, and you're looking and going, if we're on the pitch at the same time, something has gone so drastically wrong. Yeah. And about 5 games later, we were. You think if this, we were never expecting this to happen, and then all of a sudden it happened.
It's always the way, though, because they sign all these players on massive wages, and they come with such a great sort of like, oh, he's such a baller, such a player. But like I just said, when the shit hits the fan, yeah, you start putting in your Rob Greens and your Jamie Mackeys. Them players make their way back in because you need a spine. You need players that will do it properly and not let everybody else just take the piss.
Just the basic parameters of run around, work hard, don't be a dick. Those sort of things. You're saying, right, okay, where do I turn to with that? But West Ham was one. Obviously had a tough time in the World Cup, and coming back, we had a squad there that we, like you say, was a talented squad at the time. But we had a manager. We had Avram Grant, who came in, had been down with Portsmouth, which was a mess, but everyone thought, oh, okay, well, give him his dues, whatever, that sort of thing. Had that run at Chelsea to get to the Champions League final. But what we didn't know was the players ran that dressing room. And we played a pre-season friendly at Milton Keynes, MK Dons. And I think my old man turned to me, what do you make of the manager? I said, he's either a genius or he's an idiot. And I can't work out which one it was. And it didn't take long to work out which one it was. But we were rudderless. You know, there was stuff that happened in that, you know, we played in the FA Cup quarter final, obviously quite a bit later on in the season. We've forgotten a kit. How's that happened?
What?
We've forgotten half a kit.
I've never heard that before. No one's ever said that to me before, that the team have forgotten the kit.
They have to go down to whatever sports shop and buy socks, shorts, shin
the morning
pads
of?
On the morning of the game.
Oh, that's unreal. That's unreal.
I walked in, right, 20 minutes to go before the game, right, job's done, warm-up's done, I'm prepped, I'm ready. Walked in to the dressing room, manager's asleep.
Well, what?
This is Avram.
He's asleep.
We used to go out and train in the as was the way at West Ham at the time, there's port cabins on the side of the pitch. And we'd go out to train, and you'd peek in the port cabin, which was his office, and he's under a duvet, asleep.
Did he have a bed?
He had a sofa, and he'd fall. I don't know whether...
So he's not in a chair, he's under a duvet.
He's on a sofa under a duvet, asleep. And he'd turn around and say, like, things like... Not, you know when... If there isn't a manager, someone steps up and takes over the role. But we had a manager, and no one could step up because the manager was there. So we turned to Groves. He was a good guy, good coach. Paul Groves. Kev Keane, who was one of the best coaches I worked with.
I like Keane.
Yeah. And you sit there going, Kev, what's the team? I don't know. Groves, what's the team? He said, I don't know. He said, we've got to go and see the manager. Right. Walk in. He said, Gaffer, we need to know the team. She said, I need to think. He went, no, Gaffer, we've got to hand the team sheets in. It's an hour before kick-off.
We literally need to know the team.
We need to know the team because the players are going to go out and warm up. We changed the formations in the tunnel because we just...
Amongst yourselves?
We stood in the tunnel before the game, and there'd be Scott Parker as captain, me, Matt Upson, and Cole, and we stand there and go, we stood at the Emirates. We did it at the Emirates. We stood there and went, we're going to get smashed. We were going to go with, I think it was a 4-3-3, but with out-and-out wingers. Press them high and open, and Scott hold the midfield on his own. We're going to last about 6 minutes doing this.
Is this a good idea, lads?
This is going to be a good idea. And between ourselves, we went, right, let's just change it. And we went to 4-5-1, just sit in behind. Coley, you go up front on your own. And we sat in and just dug in. And we dug it out till about the 88th minute. And the gaffer kept on trying to bring on subs. And we go, no, don't bring him on. Don't bring on any subs. We're okay. We were getting battered, but we were okay. We knew what we were doing. And he brought on one lad, cold, with 2 minutes to go, and he brought him on the right wing or something. No, don't. And he let him cross, and Bentner scored a header or someone like that. I can't remember what it was. And we just wanted to kill him. And the worst thing was happened. We played you in the League Cup semi-final. Yeah.
Where at?
You were at Birmingham.
Yeah. Oh,
we were battering him.
Yeah.
We were battering you.
Yeah.
And Zigic came on and changed it.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah. We stood there, we had lads on the pitch going, Gaffer, he's dying, like he's on his arse, he can't run anymore, he needs to come off. And go, leave it 2 minutes, leave it 2 minutes. Like, no, leave it now. We're I can't remember. When they come out the tunnel, we were at the far end, and we just like wave after
we
wave
were dead
of
and
attack.
buried as well, weren't we? Because
Yeah.
1-0 down from the first leg, and then
2-1, something like that. 3-1.
You took the lead early doors in the game as well.
Yeah.
And we were dead and buried, weren't we?
With 3/4 of the game gone, we were 2 goals to the good, 3 goals to something like that. We blew it, and it was just like, Gaffer, we need to make changes. People are dying on the pitch. Leave it. And it was just it was continually that. And there was one game, I think we played at West Brom. We were 3-0 down at half time. Scott Parker shut the door, pushed him out, and did the team talk. And we turned it around, got it back to 3-0. And they interviewed Coley after the game, Carlton Cole, and they said, Coley, what was the secret behind the comeback? He said, Scott Parker did this team talk at half time. And it was great, proper, chest thump here, let's go for it, boys. And they went, well, where was the manager in all this? And we said, oh no, we do that every week. This is our team.
It's mad, isn't it? How football clubs can they know it's going on, right? Above that manager level, they know what's going on, right? They know that, but they're just so scared to do anything. They're just praying that the players will sort it out, and as long as you get yourself safe, then we'll probably sort it in the summer or something like that. But otherwise, we don't want to ruffle too many feathers.
It was that season, I think, was the first time I got relegated in a long time. And that was the season where I went, at the end of that season, I turned around, I just can't work for these people again. Not the manager. It's not his fault. He's just doing what he does. I can't work for these guys, and I've got to go. And then that was the decision to move to QPR. And then it was a mess of up and down because it was just such a mess. But that one relegation felt like it was like proper, because we had to run the dressing room. Me, Scott, Matt, we had to do everything.
Takes its emotional toll, doesn't it?
The coaches were hamstrung as good as they were. They were sort of hands behind the back, and we were just driving, and it just destroyed your soul, destroyed your belief in what you're trying to do.
The year that you went down as well in the same season.
Yeah.
So cause we were talking about this with Tommy Mooney the other day, weren't we? I'm saying like that Birmingham team, like it's travesty how that Birmingham team got relegated.
Was that the last game of the season?
Yeah.
One? Was that the last game of the season?
No, we were already done.
Oh, so it was, because I remember the final day we were away, Birmingham, we were away at Tottenham, and Wolves were playing against Blackburn, I think they were, weren't they? And there were goals getting scored, which meant we were up at a certain point, we equalised or something, and then it was carnage.
It might have been for you, we were toast by then.
Yeah.
We played Sunderland at home, we were already down, and it was just, the manager had
it?
gone, and it was just, those are the worst games when you know you're already down. They're the worst games to play.
It's fair play to the fans for turning up at that point, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's literally nothing in it. You're already relegated.
You're doing it because you've always done it.
Exactly, yeah.
I've got a question for you both. Is getting promoted via the playoffs, it's got to be up there with as important as winning a cup, right?
Yeah.
There's only... is it better? Well, I stayed up with West Ham on the last day when we beat Man United at Old Trafford.
Oh, Tevez and Mascherano?
Yeah. That was the only day that matches getting promoted via the playoffs.
Tevez and Mascherano. What did you make of that situation? Sorry. Because that was Kia
Yeah.
It was the
Drabchich, yeah.
what was the chat amongst the players like? We were like, do we even own these players? Who owns it? What was the?
I mean, they made some big signings that summer. Myself, Tevez, Mascherano, somewhere in there. I'm not sure how much, because there was in a proposal of, part of it was he might have bought the club as well. So that never went through, obviously. But Javier Mascherano was one of the best players I've ever played with. He barely kicked a ball. It was, it was unbelievable to think, well, he couldn't get a game at West Ham. Hayden Mullins, great lad, good footballer, brilliant. Kept him out the team. He then moves on to Liverpool, wins all these trophies, then goes on to Barcelona, plays hundreds of games. Like, that was the guy that couldn't get a game with us when we were down the bottom. Yeah, it was just bizarre.
Great story for Hayden, though, isn't it? Telling the pub.
Oh, yeah.
Telling the pub these
People
days.
say, "Oh, name your best 11." I said Mascherano's in there. Don't you mean Hayden Mullins?
Yeah.
But I mean, Carlos, he scored 7 goals that season. It's not like he scored 27.
Yeah, but he scored the big moment goal, mate. He scored the big moment goal.
We didn't need to win that game.
Oh, really? You were already done by then?
Well, I think a draw. We finished 15th or something like that.
Do you remember, because Sheffield United got relegated that season, didn't they? And it was Sean Bean kicking off, weren't he?
Yeah.
Like,
saying that they're going to sue, like... And they sued, didn't they?
They sued.
They sued, and they got paid as well.
They did.
They won because they shouldn't have fielded. West Ham shouldn't have been able to field those players because
Sean
of
Bean getting involved.
Sean Bean.
Wait,
Ned Stark.
what I never understood from that was Carlos scored these goals or whatever. There was, I think we won 7 out of the last 9 games to stay up.
That's right. Yeah.
Of which 5, I think, I don't know, were clean sheets.
Wow.
5 or 6 in Premier League terms. You're talking, that's a whole season's worth of clean sheets in 9 games. He didn't keep the clean sheets. There were games in there. He never kicked the ball. It was like we got.
And Mascherano was on the bench.
Yeah, Mascherano was sat in the crowd clapping. It was. He summed up West Ham at the time that only they could have managed to lose a court case where 1/22nd of the game of each game was one guy, and they managed to base everything on this one guy, and they still managed to win. It was extraordinary, that whole run of events, because we were just dead and buried. But yeah, we're getting promoted they got promoted straight away with Norwich, but then the playoffs with West Ham was kind of bittersweet because I knew I was going. I just didn't want to work for these people. QPR was brilliant. That was Gary O'Neill got sent off with half an hour to go, and Richard Dunn just turned into a human wall, and him and Nedham just blocked everything. We were just fighting fires left, right and centre. That was great fun. And then with about 5 minutes to go, we went, wait a minute, they've run out of ideas here. And it was just, I remember Danny Simpson was right back, and he's there going, 5 more minutes, boys. Let's see it through. You do it in sections of time. Let's see it through to 75. One of the lads went, 5 minutes? You got no chance. Oh, thank you very much. I'll be taking that. And from that point on, we went, right, you guys are screwed.
Yeah.
Then we just defended for lives. And via the playoffs it's just a cup final, your future. Because you win a cup, it's nice. It's great. I mean, I was at Chelsea when they won the Europa League. Lovely. We were already qualified for the Champions League.
Yeah. It
was guys going, oh, there's another medal for, that's kind of. At Chelsea, the Europa League, we won it, and I went in to see the secretary and went, Barney, there's no bonus schedule for the Europa League. You don't get a bonus. He went, well, it's not European Cup.
No.
Well, what? He said, well, it's the second tier, isn't it?
So that whole Chelsea team got no bonus for winning Europa Cup because it's not Champions League.
Because
it's not the Premier Cup competition of Europe.
We're not interested in that.
I wonder if Spurs got a bonus for winning it. Spurs must have got.
Oh, yeah.
Spurs must have got a nice lumpy bonus for winning
Probably
that.
didn't
wouldn't
think
they?
to put the provision in, did they?
No, they were in the competition, so they'd have had to, wouldn't they?
They got the cup and a survival bonus as well.
Yeah.
Which we're not sure whether that's going to happen this year.
It's good. Quickly, Julio Cesar. There were wild rumours circulating. I remember that season. Apparently, he was on something like about 190 grand a week or something silly like that when he signed. Is that true?
I've no idea. I know it might have been more than most of the lads in the dressing room.
And there were some highly paid players in that dressing room, wasn't there?
He's a really nice guy. He was, at times in training, just to watch, you just go, well, the stuff he's doing there that was fantastic. It was incredible to watch. There was no way he could physically last a Premier League season in a team scrapping it out. He, like you're saying, okay, how many goal kicks you take in a game? 20? 25, maybe more. And this is going back, we're not passing it out.
We're pumping this.
We're pumping this and you see him starting the game, reaching the halfway line, 15 minutes in, 5 minutes into your own half, he's just getting further and further and further. You're just physically not made for it. He played for Inter Milan, who just bossed games. He'd just be rolling it out.
Brazilian Inter Milan.
Yeah, Brazilian Inter Milan. He's not, coming to West London to dig it out for an hour and a half. So it was one, you could add it to the list of sort of, they tried to climb too many rungs of the ladder too quick.
Yeah.
And I joined because I thought, we could climb these steps of the ladder. I didn't want to be in a team that was just going to be, right, 17th, great. I said, no, let's climb this ladder, let's do this. And that's what I thought was going to happen. And it went from step 1 of the Premier League to step 8 in one summer. And I think he would have been good at step 8. If you'd have turned to me and said, get us from step 1 to step 8, then we'll get Julio Cesar in, and you go,
Understand it, yeah. Understand it, yeah.
And then he was still at the club in the Championship as well. You thought the Premier League was bad. Yeah. You're like, wow, you might not want to see this. Yeovil away. You might not want to see this, mate.
Are you getting relegation cuts, by the way? When you're getting relegated, do you have in your contract that you're getting a clause where it drops 50%?
This is how it was. At West Ham, yeah. At QPR, you got a pay rise. There's more games. You got the appearance bonus as well.
Come on.
And you got a promotion bonus.
Come on.
So QPR, you play 38 games. So you're getting whatever, and then your appearance bonus or whatever it might be. And you get relegated, so there's no bonus at the end of it.
But you're playing 46 games that season.
Play 46 games in the Championship.
And you're winning them all.
And you win, and you get promoted, so you get a promotion bonus in there as well.
That's unreal. That's
why Julio Cesar was playing in the Championship.
Yeah.
But he wasn't.
Yeah.
But he was. But that's how bonkers a place it was.
Oh,
at the
wow.
time.
If they don't go straight back up that next season, you're in a whole world of trouble, by the way.
Oh, I reckon there must have been 11. Well, there's 11 players on the pitch, but there's another whatever in the squad. 3/4 of them, their QPR careers would have ended on that day. They'd just finished. Because it wasn't, mine included, because it was just utterly ridiculous, unsustainable mess.
That's unreal. I've never heard that.
Right, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much, Rob. Before we go, we want to just talk about retirement. So you've had that great year at Chelsea, as you mentioned, but when did you know, like at the start of that season, midway, towards the end, when did you know the time was right for you?
Yeah, I think signing was an absolute bonus. I thought I was going to retire the year before, and I had a conversation with my wife as we were on holiday, and they said, "What's left?" I was getting phone calls from League One teams, from teams that I'd never played in League One. I'm not that bothered. And he said, "Okay, where do we go? What do we do? What do I do?" Well, I'll sign for a team left that's fighting for a league title, because I've never done that before. I've never known what it was like. I've never learned what we've talked about. And the next day I got a call from Chelsea. So it prolonged it. But they wouldn't sign me on more than a 1-year deal. So we were living up north at the time. Family was settled. So I was going to come down. And so it was 1 year, and partway through it must have been near Christmas. We'd had maybe 2 days off up until Christmas.
All year, all season.
Yeah. So I never got to go back to see the family. They were coming down at weekends. We were playing on Sundays, Thursday, Sundays. And so you just didn't get a day off in there. And I turned to the club towards the end of the season. I said, this is unsustainable. You can't offer me a deal that, in terms of years, that is going to make me want to move my family down.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the driving thing. They said, don't worry about the football side. They said that might change in the summer, and it did, but that drove it. And then after that, it was sort of COVID came, and that was really tough to sort of go from having a routine, having the structure of your life, to a little bit of the autonomy of the summer and enjoying that and all that sort of stuff. But then to be stuck in your house and be around all the time, when I've been living on my own for a year. Up until then, that was difficult for my wife, my kids, me, everyone in the world. But you kind of I struggled with that, and it's reshaping your life. I don't know how you find it, where getting the wins out of life is something you've got to really reframe everything. Getting the enjoyment out of life, because the enjoyment came out of winning a game of football, making a save. Pretty basic stuff. Now you got to find the enjoyment in other stuff, which is a lot more nuanced, a lot more not so clear cut. And you just, someone described it to me as well, that you're never going to get the weeks that are 10 out of 10, but you're also never going to get the weeks that are 1 out of 10. It's somewhere in the middle, and you've got to find those joys in there as well. That's the challenge for guys who are finishing, I think.
Finding hobbies. You've got to find hobbies.
We say about purpose, don't we?
Purpose.
It's having something.
Purpose, whether it's a bit of work, whether it's getting out on your bike, playing a bit of golf, getting out on your bike, I think is massive for me personally, for us, isn't it? Because I think that the health benefits of it, the mental benefits of getting out, and you come back and you go, yes, buzzing, and I've just pushed it a little bit, getting a bit more stronger, a bit more powerful, a bit quicker, and then they're the little wins. I love those little wins.
The other thing is as well is, I guess, for your families, which I know me and Ben have been mates since we were kids, but like I remember speaking to like Ben's wife, and your family have to adapt, don't you? Because like you said, you were down in Chelsea, down at Chelsea, and when you retire, you disrupt their rhythm, don't you?
It's really hard that you realise, I never realised how much people sacrifice for you to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And to then think that that's going to stay the same is, looking back, bonkers.
Not fair. It's not fair, is it?
No, absolutely not. And so now, there is a period of the day where the kids go off to school and everyone's out of the house, and I can walk the dog, I can tidy the house, I can put the laundry on or whatever, but it's just a nice period of the day, and it sounds utterly lame from playing in front of 60,000 people and pulling out one out the top corner or chucking one in the back of the net or having a punch up with a mascot, that sort of thing. It sounds completely benign and it's pretty dull, but at the same time you just go, there's a little content space in there that you have on a daily basis.
It's mine. It's me, I promise you.
That's your garage cleaning and jet washing, isn't it?
Look, even that time of day, right, I get up in the morning, and I will take a cup of tea up for my wife, and the kids will go off to school, mine are 16, 17 now, and I have this little period of about an hour where I will sit downstairs by myself with the dog. I'll put YouTube on, and it's peace and quiet, right, and everything's at ease and everything's nice with the world, and I just love it. And my wife will come down after about an hour and go, "Do you enjoy your nice little morning, did you?" And I'll be like, "Yes, I did. Thank you very much. I'm good to go now. I'm good to go."
It's finding pieces, moments in the world like that you have never known anything for 40 years, other than what you've known. I never knew I liked that little period in the morning that you just described or whatever, because by that point you're head to toe in mud.
Yeah.
And having Fabio Capello calling you every name under the sun or something like
You're
that.
too fat, Rob.
Yeah,
You're
telling me I'm too fat. You know, it's you've been conditioned to life in a certain way. You've really got to rediscover life and the joy that it can bring and however it may bring, and that, if you can do that, then you've given yourself half a chance.
I love speaking to players that have retired. I genuinely do. I find it so curious because it's just different. I've lived a conventional, 9 to 5
You know
job.
your life, don't you?
Yeah, and but what I love is hearing players experience these things, the simple pleasures. Because whilst never really had the itch to I want to play in front of 30,000. Never really, but as growing up, I didn't want to be a footballer or anything like that. But I've had these moments where I love the little Sunday morning coffee or something. And then when you start speaking to players who then go experience the little wins in life, the little moments that are just, I probably take for granted.
A couple moments that are class are Friday nights in the pub. Friday nights down the pub, just having a Guinness on a Friday.
Well, that's something you never experienced.
Never experienced. They're incredible moments. And also being able to look at your calendar for the year and book half-term holidays away with the family is something that's just opened my eyes up the last few years. Looking at it and go, we can actually do that, can't we?
I think there's a period of trauma in there as well when you retire. There's a period of that you miss that and you haven't discovered what's coming.
The purpose part.
Yeah.
Institutionalised would it be?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's not healthy. It's not a healthy way to live. Now, you look back at it and go, that was nuts. That was bonkers. You're expecting 3 meals a day to be cooked for you. Something like that,
Doc, I've got a bad hamstring, or Doc, I feel a bit ill. Can you get me some tablets? Can you get me this?
Yeah. It's, well, hold on a minute. What is a GP? But there's stuff like that you've never needed to, it's, I think that's the biggest challenge in retirement, is normalising yourself in there.
Is there anything, one part of retirement, like anything that you really do go, oh, I like this? Like, I know you got that hour at home where you do your little errands and stuff. Is there anything that you've kind of gone really embraced and thought, I love this? This is a good part of retirement for me?
It's interesting, isn't it? I think watching my kids play football, watching my kids do sport, is something that a Saturday morning, never have been able to do that. Taking joy from that is, and them coming off and going, what do you think? And knowing you have an opinion that counts. In terms of they're going to listen, you've got so much experience yourself. Is kind of,
your kids are much nicer than mine, mate. I've walked off a football pitch.
They're not going to listen. They might not take it on board. Yeah,
I've had my son say to me before off the back of a football game. He said the manager was shouting at me, and I was like, "Yeah, he's shouting at you though because that's your man. You've got to track him and stay with him because you're nearest to him, so he's your man." And he said, "What do you know about it?"
Well, my son plays in goal, so I said, "Don't do that because you'll make a mess of it." He goes, "What do you know about it?" I said, "More than you ever care to imagine." Yeah.
Brilliant.
Greenie, you've been fantastic, mate.
Great fuff.
Thank you so much. I texted you yesterday and I said, this is only going to be an hour, mate. I promise you it will be an hour.
It's got to be close to 2.
Is it?
It was brilliant.
Hour and 40 minutes?
My boy kicks off at 2:30.
Top man, Greenie. Thank you so much, mate.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
No worries.
Cheers,
Thank you, guys.
Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed the latest episode of the Fozcast. Don't forget to give us a follow on Spotify. Up the Fozcast.